I have somebody new here today, which might not be new if you've listened to our past episodes, but we have Liz here with us today for a very, very, very exciting special show. And what we are doing, because we have had such a good response for the pet grief series that we ran, is that we are going to be expanding our pet grief series. So we reached out to Liz, Ashley, and I, and asked if she would like to be a part of this, and she very willingly accepted. And I just want to kind of intro the show, talk about what we're planning on doing, and then maybe for folks who maybe don't know, maybe just talk a little bit about you, Liz, and
Yeah.
what makes you feel so passionate and excited about this. And also go listen to her episode that we released. I'll put that in the show notes. And yeah, so let's start this off with like, Liz, who are you and what made you want to say yes to come and do this show for the day
Yeah.
after?
Who am I? Good question, CJ. No, thank you. I'm so happy to be doing this. And like I said to Ashley separately, I feel really honored that you all asked me to get involved because this is so close to my heart and grief and talking about grief generally, but also uh, especially when it comes to pet loss because of what I have experienced this year, but also I think a topic that is important for many of us that maybe we have not talked about enough in the past. So, yeah, Liz Egler. I live in North Carolina and I have a wonderful family here and in New Jersey. My husband's family is in New Jersey. And yeah, I have a wonderful husband whose name is Michael and a almost 3-year-old daughter named Vera. And I am an animal lover, always have been. When I was little, I wanted to be a vet. I grew up with dogs and cats. I started horseback riding when I was really young and jumping horses. And that was like one of my passions. And very recently, actually, maybe spurred on by what I've been experiencing with the loss of my dog, was I started riding again.
No way.
Not enough, but like I'm doing it again and like getting back into it and have found that being around horses again is just like kind of the therapy I need right
Mm,
now. So yeah, that's me. Love animals. I'm also a beach bum, so but really anything outside. You get me outside, I'm happy. Um and yeah, I'm here to kind of open up everyone's hearts and minds to talking a little bit more about the loss of our pets who are our family members, and in some cases, all we have. And so when they leave us, it can leave a big gaping hole. And for me, honestly, I have family and friends who I could talk to, but I was never exposed to
mm,
kind of another community before that. There were others who understood kind of the pain that I was dealing with and could listen to me and provide empathy, and then also, recommend other outlets and other ways to work through it. So here to hear other stories and grow and learn from their experiences and also share mine. And yeah, really, really excited to meet some more people. And CJ and Ashley have been fantastic, and I'm really happy to be here.
yeah, so fucking excited. And I think it's going to be really amazing to see kind of your evolution of your grief as you
Mm,
begin talking more and more with people. Like it's been, and I think you just said it as like that learning experience. And it's been such a learning experience for me talking to people about their grief as I've like literally been in mine and healing from it. And I think there's just something beautiful about that. And I'm so glad that Ashley, she was really the catalyst for us to do this pet series. And like I said, it has been such a huge response, not only of the shows that we published, but also people being like, they want more. And like, just so fucking happy that this has worked out and that we're going to be able to offer that to people. And I think it's going to be amazing. So we will be releasing shows consistently as we get this ramping up, and we will have them dedicated to just pet grief. Now, you were talking about horses because the men's retreat that I did a few years back, it was all somatic based, but one of the leaders, he lives out in Colorado, I believe, but he does equine therapy, right? Is that what it's called?
Mhm.
Equine horse therapy?
Yeah, yeah,
And I've
that's
seen
right.
that multiple times. Like, I don't know
Yeah.
what it is about horses, if it's their ability to feel our emotions or what.
Why don't they say that it's something about how we have evolved with them? So, like, if you look
Really?
back in the history of time of like the relationship of humans and horses, there is something intuitive about how we communicate, how we work together. And then there's also something very calming about how horses are, their emotions are strong but more simple than humans, and so they're able to, like, bring our nervous systems down to baseline when we're elevated. But I know that it's more than that. I know that there's a lot of therapy for autistic children, specifically with with horses, and so there I have always found that being around horses is very peaceful, especially when I get on a horse and go riding. There's just it just totally changes my mood. And it
Mm,
might be that I escape everything else and I'm just focused on riding the horse and being with this other creature, but there's so much to it. And I'm sure actually maybe some folks that will reach through this podcast will be horse people.
right. Yeah.
Not just
Yeah.
equestrians, but people who grew up around horses, people who because I know that that is a lifestyle and there's good cause for people who ride horses and love horses to probably experience the emotional turmoil of losing one, of which I know that's very real. So, yeah, I encourage horse fans to join us too because yeah, that it's extremely powerful the relationship we have with them.
Yeah. Wow, I didn't even know that or realize it. Every time I have a chance to ride a horse, I do.
That's
Um,
great.
I can't really go above a trot. I've tried and I can't get the timing right. It's so
Yeah.
hard.
It
But
is
we went
hard. It takes practice.
it does, like, it's mind-boggling, but we did my wife and I, we were in Scotland and we rode horses through the Highlands.
Oh gosh, I can't imagine how beautiful that
Oh, it
is.
was unbelievable. It was so peaceful. Not only the scenery, but like you said, being on the horse and just it's indescribable. Yeah, I was, like, so glad we got to have that.
Yeah, it's a different perspective. That's amazing. I'm glad you have
Mhm.
that experience with your
Yeah.
wife.
Yeah, I think that was our last big trip before she died, was the UK. Yeah.
So it's very probably very vivid. Or has it kind of have your memories, like especially your most recent memories with her, did some of them get like clouded over the first, few months and years that you were dealing with grief, or have they like become more vivid?
That's a good question. I think the memories are there, but it's I no longer can hear her voice,
Oh gosh.
and I can no longer remember what her touch felt like in,
Ah,
like, our interaction. So, like, watching
geez,
videos
CJ.
becomes it's, like, awesome to see what we were, but it feels like somebody else in a lot of instances,
Mm,
and I think that's where that pain still exists.
yeah.
But then knowing so, like, when I once she got diagnosed, I documented all the time. Videos, photos, I was, like, in her face, in our family's face, and I'm so glad I did
Yeah.
because, like, so last night, my kids and I, we were actually looking at old videos I showed them of her and I in Japan and Korea, and it's so nice to have those, but yeah, it feels foreign to me of like, "Oh, like, that's what her voice sounded like."
Oh
Yeah.
gosh.
That was so hard when you first realized, like, "Oh, I don't remember. I can't
Yeah.
remember her laugh," and it was so infectious,
Oh,
and it doesn't have that same effect on you anymore. It's
yeah.
completely changed.
It's insane what time can do.
Yeah.
But it's so great that you documented so much of it so you can go back to it. Don't you? It's so funny. I'm reading a book right now about witches because I love witches. But within it, they do memory. They do witches can do these memory bottles where they put things into this bottle and like they seal them. And then if you release the memory, not only do you like see it, but like you are in it. and you can feel it again. Like you smell the smells and like you relive the actual memory. And if you can package it back up and seal it properly, you can save it again to access it again later. But anyway, it's just, I wish we could do that.
I
Like,
know.
even if it were just with the smell,
Yeah.
right? Because smell is such a strong sense
Mm-hmm.
for us. And especially of like a person that you love so much, or like my dog. Oh, if I could bottle up her smell just to like release every once in a while when I'm feeling like I'm going through something. Um, wouldn't that be so lovely? Like, can we
It
work on
would. I
inventing
know,
that?
right? Just hold it
Memory
in.
bottles.
Yeah, I wondered there was a show Upload on Amazon Prime, and the premise of that, it's I think it's Mike Schur who did a bunch of other like really good shows. I think he did The Good Place. So he always like the way he writes and show runs, and I hope I got it right, where he's taking these big life questions and then he builds a comedy around them, but so it's so accessible. But Upload is about uploading your conscious. So we've been able to upload our conscious to these virtual realities, and then you can still interact with people who are still living. And then the whole show is about that process. But one of them, when you're in this virtual world and you're dead, is you can relive your memories. And they just like plug in and you just have a controller and you're just scrolling through your memories like you would on a phone, like a photos app.
What a cool idea.
Yeah, it's super interesting. But I wonder
Yeah, it
like
really is.
if we could relive them, could we ever process and heal from our grief? Or would we be stuck?
I don't know. I just got goosebumps when you said that. I think in some cases, like obviously in this book I'm reading, sometimes I think we write like the ideal
Mhm.
situation, but I think being able to go back and look at things helps you understand them better
Mm.
and maybe give ourselves a little bit of grace. Like I was just listening to another podcast earlier today. Actually, it's called Move with Heart
Mm.
podcast. It's Melissa Wood Tepperberg, and she was interviewing this lady, Ann Marks. And Anne was talking about how both her parents passed away, not too long apart. And at the same time, she was going through a divorce, and her aunt died. And she has been able to look at things retrospectively and like give guidance to her friends to be like, look, we all have traumas from our parents,
Yeah.
and we have a hard time while we're growing up giving our parents credit for like what they might be going through. But when she said like having lost both my parents and going through this divorce, I was able to see that like, for example, her mom was a single mom and like raising 3 kids and trying to make it work and like, so wasn't the best mom because she couldn't be present. She's like, I was such an ass to my mom
Right.
when I was a kid, but that's because I didn't know to like give her that grace. But now, retrospectively, I wish I could go back and be like, thank you.
Right.
I love you. Like, I understand you were going through a hard time. I just didn't get that as a kid. So I think maybe if we could go back to some things that might help us, I don't know if it would help us grieve better, but it might help us like understand things about our relationships more. It might help us grow a little bit.
Yeah.
I'm sure for some people it could set you back,
Yeah.
but I think like when I talked about losing Isabel, my dog on your episode, I I still struggle with like putting guilt on myself for things I did towards the end or like didn't do enough
Mhm.
of. And I do think that's something that over time, if I could go back and see all the positive things that I did, that might help me like lessen up my guilt trips on myself.
Yeah. It's hard. It's hard not to feel guilty. I mean, I still to this day do that with Ariana, and it's the problem too is our memory is flawed. We know this. Like there's been so many studies where we literally just do not remember events as they were. It's always clouded by time and our experiences and how we feel about the situation.
Mhm.
And I wonder if we had an accurate record. Now we could journal, we can take video, we can see the accurate representation, but that's only a small piece. But if we had an accurate record of our past, I just wonder if it would be so much harder because we would our brains are constantly trying to make us the protagonist of the story. And I think a lot of dysfunction in our mental health comes when we can't see ourselves as the protagonist, or we are like overly, like, in a narcissistic way, like we are the fucking best and never make mistakes. But when we have a healthy relationship to that story, I think that's when we live in the best way possible for those around us and for ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
And when we can go back and remember our past and those mistakes and those guilt, I think it's when we can learn to forgive ourselves is when we then become that protagonist again. And we see ourselves in this cycle of the hero's journey where we have learned what we needed to learn, but then also went a step further and we have found forgiveness. And like I'm in this cycle of, okay, I learned the lessons. I know the lessons now for some of these areas in my life and I feel them. They are in my body. Now I have to forgive myself for making those mistakes. And
Mm-hmm.
then once you do that, it's like, then your story is right again.
Yep.
And it's like, maybe this flawed memory is our brain's way of protecting us,
Mm-hmm.
you
I think
know?
so. Yeah. And then we just, you can't change the past. So
Right.
working through it today, talking with other people who have experienced something similar, I do find journaling helps me a little bit, but I know it's not for everyone. But I agree. I think being able to go back and forgive ourselves,
Yeah.
not in a way of like trying to be a perfectionist or to glorify our actions in any way, but just to like, look, I'm human.
Yeah.
Let's humanize this
Right.
existence a little bit. And I genuinely think that helps. And this has helped me so
Mm,
much in listening to other people's stories and talking about it.
yeah,
And it makes such a difference.
it does. And that's what we're hoping to do,
Yeah.
or it's what we will do.
Yeah.
And if it's not clear, I don't even know if I said it, but you will be the host of this show. I think Ashley and I will be coming in and out every once in a while, but yeah, so you are going to be the showrunner as it is. And I
Taking
am
the lead.
so looking
Look
forward
out.
to it. Yeah. But yeah, so everybody be on the lookout for it and be ready for it. It's going to be
Yeah.
fucking awesome. And thank you
We're
again. I'm
excited.
so glad to have you on the team and to
Yes.
crush
Me
this with
too.
us.
I'm really looking forward to talking to everyone and living through their lives with their animals and their pets and beyond. I find joy in talking about other people's animals and seeing pictures and hearing those stories. So it'll be really, really nice to get going.